Welcome to this week's edition of Leather and Laces Tuesdays Gone. Our talking points today are going to be the unwritten rules of baseball, potential SEC championship matchups, and who's going to win Super Bowl LVIII.
I think it's safe to say our World Series predictions were not correct.
Yes.
Even going back to just the division or the conference series, because I think we all had Phillies and the definitely not the Diamondbacks.
I had Phillies Astros, yeah.
I think I had Rangers Phillies.
Nick had Diamondbacks.
I think I had Diamondbacks.
and
Well,
but you had
said the
Houston though.
Astros
Well,
was 7.
I had,
You were the only one to get the Diamondbacks, but
I knew it went to Game 7, though.
And I had Rangers beating Astros in 7, but I definitely didn't have them going up against the Diamondbacks.
No.
Hey, Twins got close, didn't they, Connor?
I don't know. One wild card, I think. So, pretty good. I did mention, I think, about the Diamondbacks being a dark horse. So we'll just
That is
There
true.
you
we'll
go,
just
man.
count that.
Yeah.
Got it on the record.
Yeah.
The ending of Game 1 was wild.
Yeah.
I mean, a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th to tie it up, and then bottom of the 11th with Garcia just absolutely raking one.
Opposite field, yeah.
Was he 4 for 5 that game?
It was something like ridiculous.
were you the one that told me that the Diamondbacks now have given up a third 2-run home run in the 9th?
In the last 3 World Series that they've been a part of, they've given up a 2-run game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th. Like, how does that even happen? But speaking of Garcia, going back to the conference series with Houston, did y'all see where Garcia and Maldonado got into it on the hit by pitch?
Oh, yeah.
Do y'all think it was warranted or that for the Astros to go after him if they did? After the 3-run home run that he just waltzed over to first base.
I mean, I can see it rubbing a lot of teams wrong. I don't think it is the right move to do. I think if you really want to make a statement, like, try and battle out as a pitcher and try and strike him out. Like, you're just giving up a free base. Like, it's, I don't know. Also, in the heat of the moment, like, winning games, like, why would you not watch your home run?
Well, and he walked the batter before, so for them to be even talking about it being intentional, it's like if it's gonna be intentional, like, why do you have to do it right now in the biggest moment? But I think if Garcia's gonna take his time watching his home run, you kind of got to expect to get hit.
Yeah, but not till first series of next season. Like I'm with Dusty, and I'm not a huge Dusty Baker fan, but I'm with Dusty. Like, it's a 2-run game. We're not throwing at this guy intentionally. Like, I never thought that.
But I'm saying, like, even if he did, like, if you're gonna watch your home run, you got it coming to you. Like, don't dish it out if you can't take it.
Well, the other thing is you just got to you just put 2 guys on. You should be trotting down to first, going, "Hey, I'm in your head. Thanks for the base."
Yeah. But them only suspending him for 2 games at the start of next year, that's ridiculous.
It's hilarious.
I mean, in the for the NBA with Draymond a couple years ago, he got suspended game 4. So not game 1 of the following season, like the most important game of the series, which was be the next one, he got suspended for.
I think it's the MLB showing he should have never been punished to begin with. They're going to push it back to the first 2 games of a 162-game season. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they realized that it wasn't intentional and he should not have been thrown out of the game and shouldn't have been suspended.
I think the people that get butthurt about dancing and walking down to first base, they need to get real. Get with the times, man. I think they're losers. So,
Well, so what did you think about back when Cam Newton was all the rave and he was dancing on people in the end zone?
but don't let them score.
It also
I
just
agree.
brings more excitement to the game. Gets more viewers, more people
Yeah.
interested, makes rivalries a little bit stronger and more hated. So I don't know. I think it helps get people more into the games.
In the world of social media, people like seeing those little 5-second clips of people dancing and all that stuff. So it's
sure.
gonna happen no matter what. I mean,
Well, and to quote Kevin Garnett for the Astros that game, ball don't lie because they won it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Geek, you have some more trivia for us this week?
We're doing trivia already. All right.
Always. Got to get right into it.
So trivia this week. So no favorite teams this week.
No picking on Reese.
Darn.
No picking on Reese. Not picking on anybody else. We are doing, since we've been talking baseball, we're doing a little baseball trivia.
Okay.
Straight up World Series trivia. It's easy for me to say. So I got 5 questions. So some of these should be fairly easy. Some of them maybe not, but these are open to everybody.
Okay.
All right. So first up, who has the most World Series home runs?
I know number 2. Oh, I've seen the graphic so many times recently.
Who's number 2?
Altuve.
That's playoff home runs. That is not World Series home runs.
I want to say Reggie Jackson.
No,
Not number 1.
not number 1.
Top 5? Or do you?
I would, if I had to get, I don't have numbers on this. I just have answers
man.
to the specific question. But if I had to guess, I would put him certainly top 5.
So who played in the most? Surely it's got to be a Yankee.
You got the right team.
Yeah.
Wrong era.
That's got to be before then. Or
Oh, babe.
Nope.
No?
In between.
Yogi.
no.
Also good again. All right. So we got like 2 more guesses here, and then we're
Can you give us a position? First base?
no outfield. Mickey.
Wow.
There you go.
How many World Series was he in? I wonder.
I see. I just have answers to the question. I don't have.
the
I don't
answers that you looked
have
up.
full details. All right. So this should be a gimme for somebody. In the World Series, who is the youngest player to hit a home run?
In the
In the World Series, youngest player to hit a home run. All right. At least 3 of you are failing me right now. That should be a hint right there. It's a Brave.
Got so many good young players.
Austin Riley?
Jones.
Andrew Jones.
Oh,
Thank you.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I'm
Andrew
sorry.
Jones.
He's 19.
19 years old. All right. So probably not as young as Andrew when this happened. Who has the most strikeouts in a World Series game and how many?
Randy.
It's going to be way before that. You guys are probably not going to get this one.
Can you give us a decade then?
I would guess 70s, maybe 60s.
no.
Cardinals.
Oh. I know him. What's his name? I know who it is. I can't think of his
This makes for great radio too.
Yeah, I know. Terry Fox is sitting right here. I can't think of his name.
So that would be Bob Gibson with 17.
Oh wow.
17.
17 in a World Series. Okay. So who has hit 3 home runs in a World Series game, and how many times did he do it?
Reggie Jackson. Twice.
He did it twice.
Man, good job.
That was
One,
quick.
one of those he did it in 3 consecutive swings.
Didn't he have? It was either 4 or 5 consecutive home runs. It was the last 3 of the World Series, and then he hit like 1 the next at bat the following
Yeah,
season.
it was like 4 consecutive swings, but it carried over to the next
That's
season.
insane.
Wow.
Okay, so tough one. This one's going to be a little old school. I'll give you that up front. Who is the only player to win a World Series MVP and a Gold Glove in the same season? It's American League, old school,
Ah, crap.
East Coast, not the Yankees,
Oh.
not the Red Sox,
Oh, I was thinking Sox.
Orioles?
Orioles. Right team. All right, so now where you
Barry
go?
Bonds.
Barry Bonds.
There you go.
You should know. You should know this one.
Ripken?
Right, yeah, right team, wrong
Brooks Robinson?
wrong position. Brooks Robinson.
Wow.
Yeah, 1970 World Series MVP, and obviously, he got all the Gold Gloves at third base then. So,
R.I.P.
This one I got wrong. So, who is the only player to hit a home run from both sides of the plate in a World Series game?
So since you say you got it wrong, I'm gonna guess it's not Chipper Jones.
That was not who I was guessing, but no, it is not Chipper Jones.
Oh, okay.
I was actually thinking Orioles. I was thinking Eddie Murray.
Is this
Probably not Ozzie Smith.
new school or old school?
Newer school.
So not Ozzie Smith.
After Eddie Murray. So played with Jeter.
Trying to think of.
I just gave you the team too, so there you go.
The Yankees.
Yankees.
I don't keep up with switch hitters and all that. So
Great guitar player too.
That's helpful.
All right, so if you're not getting it on that, if you are not getting it on that, then nobody's getting it. So
Domingo Herman.
Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams. I would not have got that.
Yeah. So and that concludes a very miserable attempt at World Series
do you
trivia
know the
today.
most consecutive seasons without being caught stealing, and to have a stolen base, minimum one.
What's the question?
Yeah.
So like for a certain player or just
So-
in general?
The most consecutive seasons without getting caught stealing.
You asking for a player?
Yeah.
Ricky.
Without
No,
getting caught
without
stealing.
getting caught stealing. He got caught a
I
lot.
was gonna say you got caught a lot.
I
With a minimum one attempt.
I think I know this.
Who is it?
Greg Maddux.
It's Greg Maddux. Who would have
Not,
thought?
not in a World Series though.
No. Who would have thought?
And that concludes trivia.
That was brutal. Yeah, that was good questions.
So what do y'all think was the biggest game of the week, or biggest outcome? Let's say that
Oklahoma,
versus
Kansas.
is what I was thinking.
That was a good game too.
Did y'all catch out USC and Cal?
Yeah, I watched the end of that. There was like so
Gave it
many
away.
turnovers.
They gave it away.
USC
would've won
should
by-
have not have won.
They would have won by 2 touchdowns if it weren't for those turnovers.
USC is so bad.
I think Auburn could beat USC, and that's saying something.
Yeah, it's
that
fine.
might still be
At
a
this-
reach.
We beat Cal on the road by more than USC did. I'm not wrong.
What about Arizona, Oregon State?
I was up watching that. Arizona's quarterback, the freshman. I think I mentioned it before. He's pretty good. I was watching it at first. I was like, "Oh, well, DJ's playing." Former Clemson. He kicked him out. Thought he was the problem. Wasn't. I was like, "We'll see how he does." And I was thinking Arizona would win just because I just didn't have faith in Oregon State. They're a good team, but it just seemed like they might lose, and they did. It was a good game though. Both teams are pretty even. So the Pac-12 has Washington undefeated, but people are thinking now that Oregon might beat them in the Pac-12 championship.
I think that's almost a given. I know they were
They were at Washington.
at Washington for that game, and they should have won it anyway.
They should.
So I'm not sure how the Pac-12 championship works. Do they just go to whoever has the better record, or do they have a designated
like they would
stadium?
I think
have
there's
to
like
play?
stadium now.
tiebreakers around rankings and different things like that as far as who the top two are.
Yeah, but where do they play? Is it a neutral site or is it home?
Allegiant Stadium.
Allegiant Stadium. Okay.
That was the Raiders. Okay.
Raiders.
So yeah, I think neutral site plus they get a second chance at them. I think Oregon runs away with it.
And they make the playoffs. Bo Nix in the playoffs. How
So the
about
winner
that?
of the Pac-12 championship game will be in the playoffs. The
Yeah.
question is, if Oregon beats Washington and Washington's now 1 loss, do they still have a case, or is it whoever's the hottest team?
It kind of depends because you need to have like a Big Ten team in there, which I think would be Michigan, assuming nothing happens to them penalty-wise. And then since Oklahoma lost, which is actually a good thing for Alabama, because now if Alabama wins out, they will make it. If they win out, obviously they got to play
That's tough.
LSU, Auburn, Georgia.
Bold statement.
Hey, they're still winning.
Very.
They can win
Stranger
out.
things
It's
have
possible.
happened.
Yeah. Never know.
Alabama
never
could
know.
beat Georgia. You never know.
I'm scared of
You guys all
LSU.
want to get in on this?
I'm scared of LSU. I think even Alabama-Auburn will be a good game in the beginning just because we're just not good in the first half.
I think it always,
Yeah.
like even last year where we had Cadillac Williams as head coach, we still made it difficult for y'all.
Yeah. Just it'll be interesting. Where's it at? Is it at Auburn this year?
No, I think it's
At
No, it's
Tuscaloosa?
no, it's at Auburn.
it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think so.
Cool.
Some fan.
I was just surprised that it was as close of a game as it was last year. Then
No, I think you're. It was at Auburn
Yeah.
last year.
Some
Yeah, I think
fan.
you're right. Yeah, sorry. By the way, for the record, Connor's the one that said Bo Nix, not me. So I didn't. That doesn't count as my.
there's no
my
there's
Bo
no
Nix
Bo
jar.
Nix jar. Yeah. What'd you think of the Georgia game, Reese? Or did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it. Thought it was awesome. They reminded everyone who the best team was. You know, the fact that people still have Michigan ranked ahead of them, even though they played nobody, laughable. But when they beat number 14 Missouri, number 11 Ole Miss, number 19 Tennessee, and Georgia Tech, who'd they just beat? Georgia Tech beat somebody notable.
No, North Carolina.
Yeah,
Yep.
easy. So I'm not going to go into a big long spiel, but yeah.
It's not like you to do that, is it?
No, never. But my teams.
I mean, Michigan, they beat Penn State pretty handily.
Was that with or without stolen signs? Do we know?
Great question.
By the way, not to plug another like YouTube, but go back and watch the SEC shorts on the Michigan stolen signs.
Oh,
it was
I
classic.
can't imagine. So we gonna talk about Auburn Vanderbilt or what? Like, we got to hit on everybody's team.
Well, we haven't even talked Auburn, Mississippi State, which we actually, or I say we, Auburn picked up on Mississippi State signs about halfway through. So they figured out what was the run play and what was like a pass play. It's all rumored, but they shut them down after about the fifth drive. Not that they really needed any help because Mississippi State's offense wasn't doing hardly anything. But Peyton Thorne finally looked like a quarterback and not just, a person that hands the ball off.
That's a
Every
start.
other play.
Yeah, nice.
So
Yeah. By the way, let college think they're stealing signs and the amount of money there, and see if you don't get helmet radios in college pretty soon. I would not be surprised.
Yep.
what did you think of the Auburn game, Nick? Did you catch it?
No, I didn't. I was watching a different game. I was going between the Oregon-Utah game, the Oklahoma-Kansas game, a couple different others. But I wanted to go back to Connor's point about the top four and if Washington was going to make it in, them in Oregon. Looking at the standings right now, I'd say Georgia's going to be in it, so that's one.
So that knocks out Alabama.
Automatic, love it.
Yeah,
Facts.
I would think so.
I would think so as well.
Then one of the spots is going to go
Any
to
rational person would think that.
one spot's going to go to Michigan or Ohio State.
One of those is out. They got to play each other.
Yeah, I said one of them is going to make it.
Sorry, continue.
The third one is going to be Florida State, most likely. Fourth, I would say Texas would have a more of a way in than Washington, but whoever loses between Ohio State and Michigan might have over Texas.
So you would take Texas over Oregon if Oregon beats Washington in a rematch and their only losses on the road?
No, I think I would have Oregon going in, but I think that might knock Washington out.
Oh yeah, I think only
Only
that
one
would be
point.
that would be the only scenario where they and it would have to be a close game. That I would say the same thing on the SEC is the SEC championship would have to be Alabama wins, you know, by a last second field goal and then both make it.
That's the only way that I see two teams making it is if Alabama beats Georgia, but like just barely.
I think if Alabama beats Georgia, Georgia doesn't get in.
Oh no, I disagree.
No.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Okay, so look.
Talk
so
to me, Connor. What's going on?
Florida State,
Yep.
ACC undefeated, gets in. Washington undefeated gets in.
They'll have to
Okay, so they
They'll
got to
have
beat
to-
Oregon.
So they gotta beat-
This is
okay.
a what-if
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Assuming
Yeah.
they beat
All
Oregon.
right.
Washington beats Oregon,
Okay.
Look
undefeated.
at this. Yeah.
Michigan, undefeated, gets
Okay.
in. 3 undefeated teams. They're all getting in.
Yep.
Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama gets in because of the SEC championship. Why would Georgia get in?
I agree with that.
Who would they beat?
You both have one loss, and one of them is the SEC champion.
Okay.
Well, so I mean, what happened with TCU last year? They lost the Big Ten game, and then they still got in. Right? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, but the was the second place the team that won. What was their record though? I don't think it was.
It was Kansas State, I think.
Were they like
That's right.
2 loss or something
Or-
like
No,
that?
they were more than that, I think.
Yeah, that was.
To me, if it's a close game and Alabama beats Georgia, I don't see how they keep Georgia out of it.
Yeah,
As
now-
much as they'd like to see Alabama in it, I don't see even
So-
with Alabama beating Georgia.
So you're saying who's Georgia beating? Who is Alabama beating? I'm looking at the schedule. Ole Miss, sick.
Which is a good team.
Tennessee, and Georgia's going to have to beat, what I just said, 3 top 25 teams. They already beat Kentucky when they were ranked 12. I think it's easy.
Well, if we beat LSU, that's another one. Because obviously, if we're in the playoff talks about to beat LSU.
They're 13th overall.
Also-
And when we beat Georgia, that's one.
Let's worry about LSU first, buddy. All right.
I am
Bowers
worried.
will be
I am
back.
very
Let's
worried
calm
because
down.
College Game Day is going
Pump
to
the brakes
Tuscaloosa, where
here.
we have terrible luck when College Game Day goes to Tuscaloosa. So I'm pretty worried
jeez.
about that. And Jane Daniels is
Ole
good.
Miss is also like number 11 right now.
Yeah, Ole Miss
So-
is good. So I don't know what that's all about.
It is going to be tough if you have 3 unbeaten champions in their
Yeah.
respective leagues, and then you have to
Who's
do a
gonna-
coin flip between Bama and Georgia.
If Bama beats Georgia, it's decided.
But I mean, I think that goes back to the same question for Washington. Let's say Georgia wins out, and then you have Oregon and Washington. If Oregon beats Washington, then they're in, and Washington's
Oregon's
out.
above Washington, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because your one loss is on the road, barely.
It's just how much do you? I don't know. Because it's the exact same scenario for Washington and Oregon as it would be for Georgia and Alabama. I can't, in good conscience, try and put Alabama in.
So the other question would be is if you've got, multiple one-loss champions, you're probably gonna have an undefeated with Florida State. But if you've got everybody else has got one loss and your champions, who's left out?
So if you have multiple one-loss champions, it's
I think the Big Ten
SEC
winner is going to be undefeated, probably, right?
more than
Because
likely.
who does the winner
yeah.
of their division play? Like Iowa, who puts up like 10 a game?
Yeah.
So Michigan,
And then you
Ohio
have
State's gonna be
ACC,
undefeated.
which is going to be Florida State.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, but
Duke
the
Duke would have to be in.
undefeateds are
Yeah.
assuming your undefeateds are in, but you're still if you've got 3 one-loss teams competing for 2 spots.
Are you asking who gets the go-ahead?
Who gets left out? I think it would be the
As much as they probably don't want this to be a factor, I think it would be who would ever make for the best TV ratings,
yeah.
which to me is going to be Oregon or Washington or Alabama or Georgia if they're one of the one losses.
I figure your Big 12's out at that point.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think we're talking about Texas and Oklahoma.
No.
I think they're on the
Oklahoma's
outside.
out of it.
Well, no,
Am
they're
I-
only one loss.
Yeah,
But
but
if they beat Texas again,
If Oklahoma wins the Big 12, assuming,
they
all
should.
goes the same, they probably get in. Even if they lose in Kansas, I mean, they win the Big 12, they get in over Texas.
So, but the most likely scenario is Georgia wins out, Michigan wins out, Florida State wins out,
Yeah.
all 3 are in.
and if Washington wins out, they're the de facto number 4. If Oregon beats Washington,
Oregon's in.
that's where you have the conversation of do you take a one-loss
Okay. Yeah.
Texas, Oklahoma, whoever wins that game, or do you take who do you take at that point? I feel like one of these teams is going to slip up, so it may be
I mean, yeah.
it may not matter.
There's going to be a couple more upsets, I'm sure. And I don't think Georgia's going to lose before the SEC championship or at all. But they do play Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee upcoming, which it's at Tennessee, so you never know. Those are 3 good games that y'all can add to the resume. I'm just interested in. You think there'll be any issues with any of those 3 games?
I don't, but I'll extend an olive branch. That's all I like you, Connor.
All right. Okay.
If Alabama beats Georgia,
Yeah.
they get in, Georgia doesn't.
That just doesn't seem
I mean,
right to me.
If
Yeah.
if
I think it's silly, but yeah.
So you're
think
telling
it's a
me
silly game, but
telling me
yeah.
if Florida State stays undefeated, gets in. Washington stays undefeated, gets in. And Michigan stays undefeated and gets in. Alabama beats Georgia. You're telling me Georgia gets in over Alabama?
if you roll back the tapes, guys, I just said Alabama gets in. I'm trying to be a nice guy.
But I mean,
okay. My scenario is with the 3 teams getting undefeated. There's no reason for Georgia to get in. If Alabama beats Georgia in the
That's what I
SEC
said.
championship,
Is that not what I've been saying?
that's what he's saying.
Okay, all right.
so that's
what
you.
he's
You
saying.
think Alabama doesn't get in?
For a 4th time, yes. I think Alabama gets in, Georgia does not. If
Okay.
Alabama wins.
Okay.
If it's close,
All right.
I still say Georgia over Bama. If it's by 10 or more points, then I'll say Alabama goes
So
in.
you're saying with the undefeated teams getting in and Alabama beating Georgia?
By 3, I would say Georgia still gets in.
So
How?
the way that I have to look at it, so you have the same scenario in the Pac-12, Oregon and Washington. Oregon's already lost to Washington. Alabama's already lost to Georgia. But the difference between Washington and Georgia, Reese, who won the last 2 titles?
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know that they'd want to admit it, but if it's a close SEC championship game, and let's say everybody else wins out, and you got to do a coin flip between a 1-loss Bama that just won the SEC championship game, or a 1-loss Georgia who just lost the SEC championship game but was undefeated until then and has the last 2 chips.
That would be 29 straight wins until that point. Yeah.
I think you got to give Georgia some leeway. But
I mean, if they got in, they know who Georgia would be in
I-
the
to
championship.
me, with Oregon and
It's easy,
Washington,
but-
it's cut and dry. If Oregon beats Washington in the title game, Oregon's in. To me, it's not as cut and dry for Alabama.
Yeah, I get your logic there. My biggest problem with that is that really, what's the point in having a championship game at that point? It doesn't mean it doesn't mean as much.
But
It's
it
the
did
SEC.
happen
It's
in-
supposed to mean more.
In 2021, it did happen, though, when Georgia was undefeated, lost to Alabama, and both teams still made it.
Yeah, but that was both teams though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't
But
have the
strong
champion.
Other
The
champions.
different scenario,
champion, the
yeah.
champion didn't get left
Oh,
out.
yeah.
The-
all right.
the whole-
There were 3
you're
other
right.
I mean,
undefeated.
there's a chance that 4 undefeated teams get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's very
and then it
possible, which
doesn't
is
matter.
we haven't
Yeah.
seen before. But I'm just
In
saying,
which
like,
case, Nick's question from last week was,
Yeah.
What was your question from last week?
yeah,
Is it what's going to come first, 4 undefeated teams or 2 lost team? And I think it's 4 undefeated teams.
Yeah, 4 undefeated for sure.
It definitely looks more likely this year. I don't know that as much as a lot of people would like to see Alabama in the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them leaving Georgia out.
yeah.
I mean, we kind of suck to go undefeated for the entire season. Same thing over Washington, and then lose, and then you're done. Like,
I mean, it's just in my area. Like, I can see Alabama and Georgia both getting in. I mean, the thing is, Alabama still has the wins out, which, as an Alabama fan, I still don't. It's
Yeah.
hard to see that, but it's just a big what if. This whole thing.
yeah.
I mean, like, say certain undefeated teams lose, like Florida State. I don't know who too, but like certain teams lose, then yeah, Georgia will get in. No reason.
Right.
That's 100%. I'm not saying Georgia's a bad team. Georgia is the best team. But if Alabama beats Georgia and the 3 undefeated teams are still
Yeah,
undefeated,
that's what I'm going by.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's 3 undefeateds, I think the winner of that game gets in.
Exactly. That's all.
But
I'm
if
saying.
other stuff happens, then
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming other stuff's gonna happen just because
how it
it's
always
college
is,
football.
yeah.
But like, I am interested in how the next 3 weeks will go for y'all. I think y'all will win, but I still don't. Carson Beck has looked good recently.
Yeah.
but I just don't trust him as.
I mean, they look good without Bowers, and I think if they can win these
too.
last 4, that's going to be massive because he's going to be back probably by the SEC championship game. So if you could just throw him on top of that,
I mean, yeah, without Carson Bowers, those next 3 games just became
Yeah.
even more interesting.
if they go
So-
4-0, yeah.
So going back to the hypothetical, let's say you have your 3 champions that win out, and the SEC has 2 1-loss teams, Alabama and Georgia. What do you think the voters are looking at from that? Whoever won most recently, or do you think they're looking at the roster as a whole, or do you think they're looking at the last 3 years and how they performed in the playoff?
They're looking at which one gets the best ratings and the most money.
that is,
And that's probably why Alabama would get the edge, even if it was a really close championship game.
I mean, yeah, unless LSU beats Alabama. I mean, if Alabama obviously wins the SEC championship, I think they just get in.
I mean, the only other factor is SEC fatigue, and they're just like, screw the SEC. We're tired of y'all.
Well, they might want. I mean, it would make sense for like a 2 Pac-12 teams to get in this year. The last year of Pac-12 pretty much being together, that
would make
follows the
sense.
narrative of the last 4-team playoff.
But
It's
at
always
the same
possible.
time, going back to your ratings,
That's
who
gonna be
would you
brutal to
rather
watch.
see?
Yeah.
Another rematch of Alabama Georgia, or would you rather see Florida State or
But
Michigan again?
think about where we live, though. That's not necessarily the case for nationwide ratings.
No, so I think Alabama and Georgia now has a little bit of the Dallas Cowboy effect, for lack of a better term.
Oh, yeah.
They want to turn the TV on and watch the Cowboys lose, and I think everybody has that a little bit with Alabama and Georgia. They want to turn on the TV and see them lose, especially Georgia.
Oh yeah.
That'll have potentially 29 wins in a row.
Yeah.
They
Going into
want
that
y'all to
game.
fail.
Yeah.
Just like Stephen A. Smith wants the Cowboys to fail.
A little different.
But y'all are pretty good at that. So
Yeah. I was letting us down.
friendly
Do you want to move
Friendly
to the
jab.
NFL?
Oh,
I was gonna hold back, but I only want Alabama to lose one game. I'm perfectly okay with Georgia losing multiple ones. I'm
me
fine
too,
with
me
that.
all y'all are, I'm sure.
Well, so hey, you're the crown. You have the crown right now. Everybody wants. It's what Alabama was for a while. Y'all. Now it's Georgia's turn.
So me and Drew
everybody
just
wants
want y'all
lose.
to feel what it's like.
I do feel with Clemson right now.
Oh my.
So before we move on, I know we've been talking about the playoffs a lot, but do we want to predict what actually happens? I know we've been talking about what
we
could
can do
happen.
predictions then go to NFL. Yeah, we can do that.
When is the first CFP ranking?
Tomorrow.
Is that,
Wednesday.
that is tomorrow.
It's Tuesday.
Is it
right?
Tuesday?
I think
Tuesday or
it's on
Wednesday?
Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So are we gonna do like spots too, like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, we
or
can.
just?
So I'll do predictions, and this goes against my. I like Alabama, but my predictions would be Georgia number 1.
Okay.
If I'm going legit predictions, I think Georgia number 1. I think Florida State goes undefeated and gets in, so they're for sure in. Number 3 and 4 gets a little interesting. Well, actually, no. Michigan's gonna beat Ohio State, so it'll be Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and then the last team I think gets in is Oregon, because Oregon's gonna beat Washington.
Okay.
I think anyway. Unless Washington beats Oregon, then Washington,
And
then Florida
automatically.
State.
Yeah.
So I think those 4 get in.
So you said Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, Oregon.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, what you got?
I'll have Georgia at 1. I'll have Ohio State at 2. Florida State at 3. Washington at 4. Just to be a little different than Connor's, because I did like his choices.
All right, Reese, what you got? I'm not even gonna ask what one is.
No. What I think is going to happen, but I'll make a cool prediction.
Okay.
I'm going to say Ohio State is 1.
Whoa.
I'm going to say Florida State is 2.
Okay.
I'm going to say Georgia. Let's just say for funsies, Georgia loses one of these next 3 games, but they beat Alabama in the SEC championship. They're 3. And I think Oregon with the win over Washington is 4.
Okay. Just for
Yeah.
kicks and giggles, who
I
do
like
you
that.
think Georgia might lose to? Missouri,
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
I want to say Ole Miss, but I want to double check where it's being.
Ole Miss
That's,
is
that's
at
at
home.
Georgia though. That's at Georgia.
I don't see y'all losing Tennessee.
In Missouri,
I
y'all are
think-
at home.
I think Ole Miss is most likely.
Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that in there just because it'll be interesting to go back.
Actually, you
and
mind
look at.
switching that to Georgia at 4?
Georgia at 4.
Oregon, because beating an undefeated team
Yep.
would be.
I agree. I gotta think about mine now. Y'all got some interesting ones in there. So you have Georgia 4 and losing to Ole Miss,
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
just for this,
Just
just,
for
to make
extra.
it interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta think about this one now. So 2 people said Georgia. 2 people also have Ohio State in 1 or 2 so far.
I just don't see them losing 3 straight years
Everybody has Florida State,
to Michigan.
Michigan. You don't seem. I'm trying to think of a way to make this interesting on mine.
That's what I was doing. Yeah.
But I gotta be different from y'all. So Florida State can't make it.
Oh,
Whoa.
Yeah.
that.
Well, Florida State's schedule, in terms of teams they're playing, like I think
They
Miami,
have Pittsburgh,
Florida,
Miami,
obviously,
They have North Alabama, though, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Juggernaut.
Florida
Alabama's
on
in
the road.
there.
I'm gonna say Florida State loses to Florida on the road.
Okay.
That's a bold
It's
take.
possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Michigan, number 1. No, I'm not gonna say that. Georgia, number 1.
Okay.
Michigan, number 2. Oregon and Washington. 2 Pac-12.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
And Oregon will be 3 since they'll have to win, and Washington will be 4. And then Florida State's on the outside looking in.
You want to make predictions for the whole thing?
Yeah, you
We're
want
going
to
to go
start?
for it, Let's go all the way.
Okay. Connor, do you want to?
So it'd be Georgia. I have I guess it doesn't matter which one.
You have Georgia, Florida
and
State.
Oregon. Well, that's going to be a repeat from 2 years ago. Georgia beating Oregon probably. Was it 2 years ago or last
with
year?
the
when
way that
Georgia
you have
played
it, you
Oregon?
have-
It was first game of last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
that
you
was
have
terrible.
Georgia 1,
Yeah.
Oregon 4. So are you saying that the final one?
Saying no, Georgia and Oregon play and Georgia wins, and
Oh,
then
okay.
Florida State and Michigan play, and I would assume Michigan gets in or
So
Florida State.
Georgia
That would be the interesting game. That would be last year's Michigan or Georgia game. 'Cause I don't think Georgia Oregon. It'll be a good game until like the last quarter probably.
So you got
if
Georgia-
keeps going. Yeah,
Georgia
Georgia.
over Michigan?
Yeah,
Okay.
3 a year.
So Nick, you have Georgia versus Washington and Ohio
Actually,
State versus Florida State.
I'm having Michigan over Georgia.
Michigan over Georgia.
They're gonna
Okay.
steal them signs. They'll be ready. it's Michigan's year,
And then
it's
in
gonna
5
get vacated.
I was gonna say in 5 years
It's
it's gonna get vacated.
It's perfect.
It's a perfect like hardball thing to
Let's go
happen.
Michigan, I guess.
I'm gonna have Georgia, Florida State, and I'm gonna say Florida State wins it all.
Florida State over Georgia, so that's 2 over Georgia. Which, all right, Mr. Georgia man himself.
All right, walk this through me, Drew. So what do I have?
So you have Ohio State versus Georgia
Okay.
and Florida State versus Oregon.
Okay, so Georgia beat Michigan 2 years ago. They beat Ohio State last year. So let's make Michigan number 1 so Georgia can beat them again.
Okay.
And then the 2 in the middle are Florida State and Oregon.
Yep.
Let's say Oregon wins that. Georgia owns Bo Nix. Georgia three-peats.
So you're saying Georgia over Oregon. Well, that's just funny. I have Oregon over Georgia.
Ah.
I have Oregon beating Michigan and Georgia beating Washington. That's a gimme. And then Oregon over Georgia.
You see, Bo set the record for most starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
I think
impressive.
that his pedigree and his experience, he's the better quarterback.
Okay.
Easy.
That's what everyone said against Stetson, but
Yeah.
There was a vast discrepancy in the rest of the team
We'll see.
on both
We'll
sides.
see. We'll see.
All right. I think now we can move on to NFL. Do y'all
Yeah.
know
I like that a lot.
what the Super Bowl favorites are? What the voting or what the betting odds are?
Well, I see it's on the screen.
Eagles best odds.
Just
I'm guessing.
I just think in my head
Tied.
it needs to be even. Chiefs Eagles.
It is
It
right
is,
now.
yeah.
It's 500 plus
That was
500
before I
Chiefs
looked at the
Eagles.
sheet.
With the 49ers slipping a little bit with the loss of the Bengals. The Dolphins getting a tick up with Tua owning Belichick 6 times in a row. First quarterback to ever do that.
Really?
Really?
Win their first 6
Wow.
starts against Bill Belichick. Nobody's done that.
I've never thought about that one.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I see an edit in here that I'm going to erase. The
I was ignoring that one.
Dallas Cowboys at
It says
1,000.
the clown.
No, it
Dallas
doesn't.
Cowboys.
I don't know what
Cowboys.
I
Yeah.
don't know what you're looking at.
They're at
Dallas-
plus 1,000.
Plus 1,000.
Well, don't take
Ravens
that.
at plus 1,200. The Bills are slipping week after week.
Yeah.
Plus 1,200. Lions plus 1,500. Any of that look off to you?
Yeah, the Cowboys.
Yeah,
the
okay,
odds
get
should be a
outta
little
here.
higher.
Oh, okay.
If
I spoke too soon.
if they take care of business against the Cardinals, which was just a complete dud,
Yep.
that looks completely different. I know there's every team on here you could say that about as well.
Well, they get a chance to prove themselves this week.
What's their
with
matchup?
Going into Philly. But it's the hottest that the Cowboys have been all season. Dak looked really, really good, aside from the one tipped pass at the line of scrimmage.
The defense looked really good.
They have figured out this one guy on offense that they should probably get him the ball.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
And Deron Bland is one of the best 5th-round draft choices that Jerry's ever had. Not really saying much because
So just to go off a point you just made, so this is the hottest they've been, right?
the hottest that
The Cowboys have been. So 3 weeks ago they lost 42-10. So you're saying winning against the Chargers, which is basically the Falcons of the AFC. Joke.
as you like to say.
And the Rams, now they're hot. That's not even 3 games. dude.
It's all
ain't a
relative.
streak.
I said hottest. It's all relative.
Congrats, man. We really lowered the standard here, haven't we?
All right, we haven't even talked about the Falcons yet, and
I'm ready for it. I'm just talking as a football fan.
What I said was not incorrect. This is technically the hottest that they've
Yeah.
been,
Well,
with losing to
yeah.
the Niners, losing to the Cardinals, and beating 2 abysmal teams back to back to start off the season.
And what have the Niners done since beating the Cowboys? I mean, you could say that this is where it is relative. The team in front of them hasn't done much lately either.
Yeah, they lost to the Bengals and they lost to the
Browns.
Browns with a XFL quarterback.
And Purdy is showing that he bleeds blood. So he's thrown 2 interceptions the past 2 weeks each game. So, and suffered 2 back-to-back losses. It's
I wonder
What does he bleed?
blood.
I like that.
what's different now, because it's not like the team's any worse. The team's probably as good as it's been
It's because Debo's out, man.
I saw a number where his completion percentage goes down like 10%.
with Debo
Without
out.
Debo, yeah.
Really, but his favorite target's been Kittle and Ayuk.
Because
But
Debo's not there.
I was about to say, it just spreads it out even more when you have 3 elite pass catchers alongside McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. It just has someone open no matter what.
So I saw something on Twitter where it was talking about, do you think any quarterback thrives in the situation that Jordan Love is in Green Bay?
I know one that wouldn't.
Jordan Love?
Oh, okay, 2. Desmond Ritter. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
Well,
Dak.
so the reason I asked that is
Nah, I'm
do
not gonna
you
be that
think
guy.
Jordan Love, with all of the tools around him that Brock Purdy has, do you think Jordan Love looks better or on par with what Purdy looks like? I think it's arguable that he does look better.
I'd say on par. To start the season, Jordan Love looked pretty good.
Yeah, 2 runs, but nothing
But
since.
I think the run game has just been stopped the past few weeks, which has put more pressure on him. They've gotten down, and he's not at that point where he can fully take over. Plus, they don't have that wide receiver 1 that can get the ball every single time and
Just
get
Watson.
Watson, bunch of young guys, Dobbs, Reed. Was that
Yeah, Jaden Reed?
Yeah. Who's been getting a little more targets.
I'm going to say Jordan Love does not do as well as Brock Purdy. There's a couple of reasons. I think Purdy's more experienced coming out of college.
True.
Game manager, has all the weapons in the world, so he kind of knows his limitations there. So he doesn't try to do too much. And 2, he's getting paid $800,000 a year versus Jordan Love. What pick was he, like first round, right?
Yeah.
27.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's
I think your other guys that would excel in Brock Purdy's shoes would be your more your point guard type guys. So like a Bryce Young, like a Tua, somebody like that.
Stroud.
I think so.
I think Stroud would look better than. I know this may be all hype, but I think he would look better than Brock Purdy does in the Niners.
No, I told you I was for being the Niners. I like Brock Purdy. I've enjoyed watching him play, but how much of that is you've got one of the best situations in football right now.
yeah.
If you can't look good in that situation, you're never going to look good. Go back to Dak when he first came into Dallas. He had a perfect situation to walk into, and he looked good in that situation.
Has there ever been a better situation for a quarterback to come into?
That is what I was thinking.
Niners?
With defense include. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like offense and defense. I mean, you got the skill positions, obviously. You got a good O-line. You got a tremendous defense to where you don't have to always play catch-up. I mean...
Do you think him coming into the Niners versus Tom Brady coming into the Bucks when he went to the Bucks?
Well, I think that's you've got older quarterback versus a rookie.
Yeah.
I think
We're
that's
just talking
two
about,
totally
like,
different
situations,
scenarios,
though.
though.
Like, you come into a team with Leonard Fournette, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. You can't assume Rob Gronkowski, but just for the heck of it, let's say Rob Gronkowski.
Well, didn't he
And that defense?
kind of LeBron that team? I mean, come on.
I think it came together on purpose because they knew they were going to do something
Yeah.
like that. Like, they kind of made it for him.
I mean, you could also make the point about Aaron Rodgers. So
going into the
going to the Jets.
Jets.
They had a young stud wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. They had other key pieces that had experience with Rodgers on the offense, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, and then their spectacular defense.
I know the Jets are, 4-3 now? But I
think
they
so.
really should be. They've played some terrible games.
Defense has played phenomenal.
So they beat the Bills on a punt return touchdown. They got demolished by the Cowboys. They lose 15-10 to the Patriots.
Yeah.
They lose by 3 to the Chiefs. Okay. They beat the Broncos by 10. But they beat the freaking Eagles. This is where this team doesn't make any daggum sense. And then they beat the Jets in probably the worst game televised.
The Jets beat the Giants.
Or the Giants, excuse me.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
New York won that game.
That's right.
Yeah, no, we saw the highlights. So I was
the
watching.
fans lost that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was raining. the whole
Everybody
time.
lost that game with all the injuries that was going on.
It was terrible.
But I mean, this Jets team is an enigma because you beat the Bills, you go toe to toe 4 quarters with the Chiefs, you beat the Eagles, but then you can barely beat the Giants in overtime with a backup quarterback because Tyrod Hill got out or Tyrod Taylor got out of the game. It doesn't make any sense. Although Rodgers is projected to be back week 17 now.
No way. You think so?
That's
His experimental surgery, yeah. He's supposed to be.
Did his chakra tell him he can be back by week 17? That's what I want to know.
He'd do another wilderness retreat.
I don't know. For my money and my football watching experience, I think this is the best situation that I've ever seen. Complete team, plug a dude in, and it just... I mean, how many games did he win in a row? I think only Big Ben had more to start his career. He won like 13 or 14, right?
I think if you
Maybe
take out
15.
the UCL injury game, it was...
Yeah, if you take it out,
games
I
they
think
started
he
and finished.
beats Roethlisberger.
Wow.
But, yeah, Roethlisberger started 13-0.
Yeah.
I'd not 13-0, but I'd still throw Dak's season in that scenario too.
Him coming in, you get Ezekiel Elliott with the freshest legs that he's ever had in the NFL, with Dez Bryant, Jason Witten, I'm trying to think,
Those are wide
Cole
receiver too.
Beasley.
Okay.
I think Terrence Williams may still have been there. Yeah, he was still there.
No, the defense wasn't as good as what San Francisco's is, but it was
Yeah, but
still
you still
solid.
had DeMarcus Lawrence putting up 20 sacks.
Yeah.
Plus, the Cowboys' O-line was all time. So
Then you still had like a healthy Tyron Smith, a Travis Frederick before he got injured, Zach Martin, and then Ronald Leary, Doug Free, insert, offensive lineman here. But yeah, definitely one of the better offensive lines to come into. Plus, when you have an all-time, at the time, running back talent in Zeke
yeah. And Dan Bailey.
and then Bailey.
Come on, man.
He fell off, but
I got a couple of things I wanted to talk about with the NFL. I saw news that Josh Dobbs is no longer the starter at Arizona. Wanted to bring up, is this meaning that Kyler Murray's coming back this next week? Is it going to be a different starter? And also, if it's another starter, does that mean the Cardinals are officially tanking now?
I think I heard it was Clayton Tune this week, and then Kyler's coming back week 10.
Okay.
Are they trying to preempt the Call of Duty release? Is that what we're going for?
Well, so Call of Duty is released tomorrow, so
Ooh.
early access.
No.
So that means that Kyler doesn't even get a week to actually, play football instead of Call of Duty.
He might delay his own debut then. Need some time.
So who's the other quarterback that they're
Clayton Tune.
Yeah.
Which I think he started some last year whenever Kyler got hurt. If I'm
I want to say he's the rookie.
I thought it was Colt McCoy last year.
Well, didn't he also get hurt?
No, I think he got retired.
Sorry, he played at Houston. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a rookie this year. 24-year-old, experienced.
Nice. NFL trade deadline. You think anything is going to come tomorrow?
When is the deadline?
Tomorrow, I'm guessing 4 p.m.
It's tomorrow?
Yep.
I would tell you who's not getting traded.
Who?
Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Because they passed the window to restructure his contract.
Ooh.
So now whoever gets him, they're going to have to pay full price for a rental.
Well,
just about.
I saw that whenever trade talks were ongoing, they were saying that the teams would want the Titans to eat a
some
chunk of
money,
it.
And now they can't restructure that contract where they don't have to eat as much. Now if they're going to want to make a deal, they're going to have to eat it all.
Right.
So I don't see him getting moved. As much as I would like to see him in a Cowboys uniform.
And if he doesn't get moved, I feel like DeAndre Hopkins won't get moved. Devonta Adams,
not
Raiders
getting
don't want to
moved.
move him. I don't know any other big pieces that really have been talked about.
Is Jacobs going to stick where he's at?
I think Jacobs is. I haven't heard anything bringing up his name for the trade talks.
It would make sense, though, because if some team needed him, he's only on a 1 year, $10, $11 million contract?
11, I think.
So you get a, 4-month rental,
Mhm.
3-month rental,
Yeah.
and then maybe hope to re-sign him.
I don't know. If the Ravens really wanted to make a move, they could go for a running back on the market, but I just don't think anything's going to happen. I think a lot came last year, and there was going to be a lot of hype this year about trades, and nothing has happened
Was the McCaffrey trade last year, or was it the year before?
It was last year.
last year.
That seems like it was so much further away.
Him, Tyreek, Devontae Adams. I think those were the big three.
I cannot take credit for this. This is not my idea, but I saw it earlier. This will be the bold prediction that I have. Vikings are 4-4.
Mm-hmm.
They trade for Ryan Tannehill.
I've seen speculation of that.
And I think that'd be a good move.
Yeah, I think Will Levis. I mean, he's shown that he threw for more touchdowns in that one game than Tannehill's thrown for all year.
Something like
4
that.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
Giving him hope. Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill's
To me-
hurt, though, right?
Right now, yeah, he is.
Wow. To me, if I'm the Vikings, I think you can do better than Tannehill. Because Tannehill's not Cousins.
Who you going for then? Realistically, who's going? Because that's realistic.
Is Cousins hurt? Did I miss something here?
He tore his
Oh, he
Achilles.
Towards
Yeah.
Achilles.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Or, Achilles, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did miss that. Sorry.
Yeah.
And if you watch the replays,
They
you
ha-
can see
No.
It
it
was-
shoot
I'm
up.
also
It was exactly like Rodgers.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
know.
that is a good question. Who could they get that would be better than Tannehill?
Kyler?
Not that I wish for this to happen, but Cooper Rush is better than Tannehill.
I actually had that thought, but they're not. Cowboys
but the Cowboys are not stupid enough to give that away.
Well, they have
Trey Lance?
they have Trey Lance.
If you could give up, how many Trey Lance is on? Got 2 more years, and one of them is a team option.
Mm-hmm.
If the Vikings came a calling and waved a 3rd-round pick in front of your face for Trey Lance,
A what round pick?
3rd.
Oh. I
What
think
about-
that'd be a
same
reach.
thing? For
that'd be an
Cooper,
upgrade
though.
for them because they gave away a 4th.
Would you, if you're the Cowboys, do you let go of Cooper and you move Trey up to backup?
I think I would do that.
I don't know because Cooper Rush last year when Dak was out for 5 games, he was 4-1,
Yeah.
and he beat the Bengals.
I think Lance still has a higher ceiling than Cooper Rush does.
I do agree with that, but would you, a backup quarterback, you don't care. I mean, you don't really care about their ceiling. You care about their median.
Yeah.
You don't want them. You don't want them to be too low. You wish that they have some highs, but I think Trey Lance's lows are lower than Cooper Rush's lows are.
That's true.
But I think for your backup, you keep upside there. You don't.
No, and I get that. I think I'd rather have Will Greer than Tannehill.
I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, through 8 games, Tyreek Hill is over 1,000 yards.
Third or fourth time that's happened.
Is he going to hit the 2,000 mark?
I'm gonna say no. I think. I don't wish for this to happen, but I don't know that he can stay healthy the entire year at that pace.
I don't know. I feel like almost every week he gets one catch and takes it 60 yards. So I don't think he's getting too many hits. I think he's.
Oh, yeah. If he's smart, he'll take the Tyler Lockett approach. Catch the ball, go down.
Mm-hmm.
Catch the ball, go down.
And I think he will hit the 2,000 mark. I think once it starts getting later in the season, they might try and make a push just to hit that, just to bring some more attention to the Dolphins. Because right now, I think their division is all 4 of them are 6-2. So, yeah, they have a reason to play to, and they better get it to their best player if they're going to try and win their division. So, I don't see them slowing up.
I wonder if McDaniels tries to spread it around more, because when you've got Jalen Waddle, who's no slouch, if you can get him more touches and take some of the pressure off Tyreek, and just use him as a decoy.
Waddle was getting, I think, a good bit of attention this week. He had just come back from injury last week, maybe.
Yeah. Going back to who I would rather have over Tannehill, I'd rather have Andy Dalton over Ryan Tannehill. I would take Darnold over Tannehill.
Okay.
Jacoby Brissett.
That one I could be okay with.
I'd rather have Taylor Heineke than Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, but now he's starting.
I know.
No, he's not starting. That's
Riddler's
the best
starting next
part.
week.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Full confidence. That's what he said. Full confidence. Unwavering
Then why'd he
confidence.
get benched?
Yeah, I can't answer these questions, guys. I mean,
Who's your else GM?
Terry Fontenot or whatever his last name is.
What if he just goes scorched earth and sends
Should
Taylor
be.
Heineke to the Vikings? It's like, all right, this is our guy.
No, I don't know if y'all have any like wish list things for the trade deadline for y'all's teams, but mine, which I know will never happen.
Yeah,
'cause
I love
want it to
Devontae
happen.
Adams.
What if Bears are like, this Bajan guy just sucks, because he sure sucked last night. They just said, let's go full tank. Let's get Carolina's pick, our pick. Let's give Justin Fields to Atlanta for a second. Take advantage of the 4-4 start. You make a run in a weak division. I think that'd be awesome.
To
But
get
it's not
Justin
gonna
Fields?
happen. Yeah.
That would be. I mean, if I was an Atlanta Falcons fan, I would certainly be excited for a move like that.
Yeah. Because
But-
at this point, you're going to win too many games to where if you did want to replace him next year, you're getting a Bo Nix versus like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May type prospect.
I think Bo Nix, or you said you wouldn't get a Bo Nix.
No, you would.
I think a Bo Nix would be fine at the Falcons. With the weapons y'all have, a wide receiver and then Bijan and Tyler Algier, I think
I think there's also a chance. So if the Falcons don't make a move, they stay where they are, and they just get like a 10 to 15 overall pick, which is 10 to 20. I think that's been where they've been sitting over the last few years. There may not be a Bo Nix still available.
Yeah.
Because you could have teams that are desperate for a quarterback like the Colts
Yeah.
what?
with them taking Anthony Richardson so high.
Oh.
Like the Colts, not
Okay.
not
I
the
was
Colts
like-
next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Colts did last year.
My point was that it was going to be a tier below type prospect, but what we've seen so far this year, he might be on the same tier for all I know. Them, Caleb Williams, Drake May, who knows?
I've seen where they got Penix like just barely on the outside of the first round. And to me, who would you rather have, Penix or Nix?
Probably Knicks.
The game manager. It's not the 49ers situation, but I think if you just have a guy that won't screw up,
yeah,
it's going to be fine. Trying to be cool, guys. Trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll get off the Falcons.
Thanks.
Jonathan Taylor. He's been lighting it up these past few weeks.
thank goodness. It was making my trade look bad.
Zach Moss is still getting a lot of carries.
Yeah, I was watching that. He had one more carry than Moss did, but it felt like anytime I pulled up the game cast, they're like, Zach Moss goes for 5 yards. Zach Moss goes for 2 yards. Zach Moss gets a touchdown.
A touchdown, yeah. He got the touchdown. I don't know about Jonathan Taylor, but they're just splitting him. I don't know. I mean, what was the contract that came up for Jonathan Taylor? The
3 years,
years.
42 mil?
It was something.
Wow.
Yep.
But, I mean, same thing goes for what the Lions are doing. You've got a cheaper and younger, or you have a younger Jahmyr Gibbs, and you have a younger, well, actually, I don't know how old Zach Moss is.
Yeah, he's, yeah.
Is he older?
A few years, yeah.
So you have an older Zach Moss.
25.
Who's
better.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss.
And Jonathan Taylor's
They're
what?
about the same age, probably.
20.
But
Yeah,
you have a
Jonathan
cheaper
Taylor's
option that you
25.
can put some mileage on without having to put a lot on your star running back.
Yeah.
Taylor's 24, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So slightly
older.
younger.
Soon to be 25 in January, but
But yeah. I think that's why the Lions are doing what they're doing. They want Gibbs to be around for the next 10 years, not the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
it's what every team's doing. I mean, Fournette just signed with
Bills.
Buffalo, so
Which, to me, the last 3 Super Bowl champs didn't even have a top 15 rusher on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Pacheco looked really good in the playoffs last year, but he wasn't a top 15 rusher.
He also wasn't the starter at the beginning of the season. I think it was Clyde. He started to take over mid-season maybe.
You
So-
think teams are starting to figure out that you need to, almost pitch count, minutes on that, like save running backs for the second half of the season or for the playoffs?
yep.
Well, so the last 4 Super Bowls, Kansas City over San Francisco. Was Kareem Hunt still on that team? 4 years ago?
4 years ago, I think so.
We pulled up.
I think it's more so that it's a little harder to find running backs now that excel in every aspect.
So the lead rusher for Kansas City in that game, Damian Williams.
That's right.
Because
So-
like the Lions, they have the pass catching and the explosiveness from Jahmyr Gibbs, but they have that bruiser who can just run downhill straight through the line with David Montgomery. So
The season after that, you had Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. Tampa Bay had Leonard Fournette, and Kansas City had Clyde. And then you had Rams, Bengals. You had Mixon and Akers. And then last year you had Kansas City and Philadelphia with Pacheco and Hurts
Same.
basically as a running back
Yeah.
for the Eagles. So I don't know. I mean, this goes back to when was the last time the best running back won the Super Bowl or was on the Super Bowl team, winning team?
Is TD or
Marshall Faulk in
Marshall
2001.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
it just goes to show you, in the last 20 years, you don't have to have like the best running back.
well, Bettis.
But the thing about it is, then you're going to comparing the Niners. The best running back then was a glorified slot receiver playing. He was a great running back, but he was also a slot receiver, wide receiver playing running back. Or vice versa.
I mean, Philly won in 2017 with LeGarrette Blount, like a washed up or almost washed up LeGarrette Blount,
and the year before with the Patriots, wasn't it LeGarrette Blount as well?
and James White.
And James White, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Take back the Bettis comment that he was not the best running back in the league.
And then
So
before
got
that,
LT, yeah.
you had Denver over Carolina, and that would have been. Oh gosh. C.J. Anderson would not have got that.
Oh.
He played great in that too.
Oh, no,
He looked
yeah.
good.
But I mean, in this day and age, to win, you don't really need a running back. And I wonder if Dallas starts to figure that out because, I mean, Pollard didn't look, great this week.
Well,
And they still won.
look who they let go in the preseason. So I mean, they figured that out.
Zeke walk. As long as you have a warm body to put in at running back, I think you're fine.
All right, so I have Nick on NFL here. Did you watch Texans Panthers or did you watch highlights?
I watched the highlights.
So
Sure
are you happy with the Texans quarterback choice over because you had 2 first rounders there,
1 and 2. Bryce Young and Stroud.
Yeah, I think I still like CJ better than Bryce so far. And neither of them are really in good positions with weapons wise. That neither team really has a wide receiver that can just take the volume and win on the line every time. But I think CJ's done great spreading it out with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and
I think Stroud's.
if they got the run game going, I think that would take a ton of pressure off of him, but it just hasn't been nearly as efficient as last year.
What has Pierce done this year?
Not much. He's averaging maybe just over 3 yards a carry. It's bad.
I watch Bryce and I feel like he's a middle schooler playing amongst everybody else. I'm just waiting for him to get broken half, and I hope that doesn't happen. I like watching him play, but
how many times has he been injured since he's been in the limelight? It was just once, and it was for a couple weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
he just looks tiny though, and and he does not look like his passing, his accuracy is great. I think if you put him in San Francisco, he would be amazing. He doesn't quite have, when you watch him versus Stroud in the same game, he doesn't have the same arm strength.
See, I don't read too much into that.
No, I don't know. Stroud. They both tried to make the same throw, and Stroud threaded the needle on one, and Bryce didn't get it in there, and it seemed to me like it was an arm strength kind of thing.
Do they have a metric for arm strength yet? In combines, do they just tell you throw it as far as you can?
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
if not, why not?
And they both have quick releases, so it's not a getting rid of the ball timing thing. It just looked like there was a little bit more velocity to me.
Well,
I feel like CJ, it's a lot more in the pocket type stuff, and Bryce, it's a little more on the move, so that could take some of it away. Back to Dameon Pierce. Through 7 games, he has just over 100 rush attempts for 300 yards with 3 yards per carry.
dang.
They've started to split him and Devin Singletary, though, in the backfield, which could be good. But
Going back to Bryce Young for a second, who doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but is still going to be a Hall of Famer with a Super Bowl ring? Drew Brees. So you don't have to. Granted, he's had his share of Hall of Famers on the offensive side, but I think up until Jameis Winston got there, there had not been a touchdown pass where the air yardage before it was caught was over 50 yards in all of the seasons that Drew Brees was there.
That comparison though, he's Drew's a good bit thicker, a little bit. It strikes me as being more durable. Again, Bryce hasn't been hurt yet, so it's that could be me being just paranoid about it, but just doesn't I don't know, just doesn't look the same part.
You're looking out for him,
He's
I
got
like him.
about.
I like the dude.
He's got 5 pounds on Bryce. Bryce is listed at 205, 5'10", 205,
Yeah.
and then Drew's
listed.
5'11", 210.
Yeah.
Although Drew doesn't look 210. He looks a little beefier than that.
Yeah, one of them looks a little beefier. One of them doesn't look as beefy.
yes.
But we'll see. Hopefully he can put on some weight. CJ's 220 and 6'2".
Solid.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty, my last thing. The Bengals are getting hot. Is it going to continue? Are they making their push for the playoffs? Burrow seems healthy now. Him and Chase's chemistry is looking great on the field. Who can stop them?
Well, they did a little bit of this last year because they started 0-2 last year, just like they did this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. I think they're 4-4 now, so I think they're going to make it back into the playoffs if they keep going the way they are.
I mean, they just beat the Niners. They got a chance to play the Bills and then the Ravens within the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Which those could be 2 tough games, but I bet they'll probably win one of them and get close to the next. So
how? I feel like this is every year, but how good are the Ravens actually, and how bad is their schedule? Or is their schedule bad? Not seeing it. So they beat the Texans week 1, beat the Bengals week 2, lost to the Colts in OT in week 3, destroyed the Browns week 4, lost to the strangely above 500 Steelers, beat the Titans, destroyed the Lions, and then beat the Cardinals. How many of those teams are above 500 right now? Texans, no. Bengals are sitting at 500. Colts also sitting at 500.
I don't think so.
Who?
Colts.
The Colts.
The Colts, no. I think they're 3-5.
Let's find out.
Yeah, I think they only have 2 wins.
No, they got
They
one
had 3
round.
wins.
They won against the Texans. They won against the Ravens. Oh, and the Titans. They have 3 wins.
Yeah, I thought it was 3-5.
Yeah, 3-5.
Yeah,
Okay.
part of my best teams. I know my teams.
I don't know. That's tough. I think they have a better than average defense. The quarterback play is really good, but it can be iffy sometimes, I feel like, passing wise. It's still tough to get the wide receivers is still a little tough with young talent with Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. OBJ really hasn't done much from that veteran standpoint, but then they also have Mark Andrews, who is always open, always getting touchdowns, but they don't have a run game. And I think that's what hurts them the most is that because they're a physical team. They want to run the ball.
So the only team with a winning record that they've beaten is the Browns.
I mean, I can't believe in them till the playoffs start because in his career, Lamar is 1-3, 4 total touchdowns, 7 total giveaways for a 68.3 passer rating.
Yeah.
In the playoffs?
Yeah. Average points scored in his games, in those 4 games, is 13.
I think
So-
the Ravens are as good as a regular team as they get.
Regular season team, yeah.
But
I agree.
like over the past 4 years, I think if you put the regular season record, they've got to be maybe 3rd behind the Chiefs and the Eagles.
So I wanted them in our wins draft, yeah. They always get to double digits.
Wow. They're 3rd.
Really?
Since 2017, the Chiefs have 80, the Saints have 68, and the Ravens have 67. I got to see where this came from though. What was this done most recently?
They're kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC if the Cowboys had won something
my
in the past
gosh.
20 years, you know?
Does this guy ever shut up?
I'm just saying.
I just love how he has comparisons of
No,
a
I'm just-
team from the NFC and the AFC.
Yeah. Take away the championships. I mean, they're always there, you know? Truly.
I'm not looking at you.
I think I pissed him off. There we go.
Oh, for sure. For
That's a
sure.
win.
He can't handle the criticism of
Can't handle
his
the truth.
precious Cowboys.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it that way. But yeah, they're third. I'm surprised the Saints are still up that high, but I guess Drew Brees having that many consecutive
Since
Like,
when? Since what
since
year?
2017.
Yeah, but the past 2 years.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do-
say Drew Brees has been apart for what, like 2 of those seasons?
Let's do 2020. Wow, it even has that. So in the past, since the 2020 season, it goes the Chiefs, Bills, Packers. How about them Cowboys?
There you go.
Buccaneers, Ravens, Eagles.
Okay. That's
And then let me look for the Falcons, just for kicks and giggles.
See, now you're reaching.
Well, I have to. They're all the way down at
That
the
was an
bottom of the
honest
list.
comparison, right? Just saying. He's scrolling all the way to the bottom to look for the Falcons.
22 wins.
They won't be at the bottom because they're never at the bottom. but-
Texans at?
They're not even on the list.